Dragonflight patch 10.1, the Embers of Neltharion, will be launching on the 2nd of May for NA servers and the 3rd of May for EU servers, and with it we are going to see a brand new raid, a new Mythic Plus and PvP season, a new zone with new rewards and systems, and more. But there are also a handful of rewards that will no longer be obtainable once the new season begins. So today I'm going to walk you through all of the things you have a limited time left to farm before the end of Dragonflight Season 1, and the things that will be more difficult to farm once the new season begins. Let's start off with raiding. The Season 1 raid, the Vault of the Incarnates, will be replaced by the Season 2 raid, Aberys the Shadowed Crucible. And with the end of this first raid tier of Dragonflight, there are a handful of rewards that will either become unavailable as of the end of Season 1, or will simply become more difficult to grind. The Season 1 raid feats of strength will become unobtainable with the end of Season 1, meaning you have a limited time left to farm your Ahead of the Curve achievement for defeating Raszageth on heroic difficulty, or similarly your Cutting Edge feat of strength for defeating her on mythic difficulty. The other raid-related reward that isn't necessarily going away with the end of Season 1, but will definitely be more difficult to farm with the end of the season, is the embodiment of the Storm Eater Drake customization manuscript for your renewed Proto-Drake, and this can drop from Raszageth on any difficulty. Blizzard haven't specified what the drop rate of the manuscript will be once the season ends, but since the Vault of the Incarnates raid will no longer be current with the commencement of Season 2, players will likely find it difficult to form a group to farm the raid to try and get the drop. For now though, remember that the manuscript can drop on any difficulty, so if you're still trying to farm the manuscript yourself, now is the best time to do it. Of course, 2 or 3 expansions down the line when Dragonflight enters the Legacy raid pool, players will be able to go through and solo the raid if they want to get the mount later on, but it's up to you if you want to wait that long. Moving on to Mythic Plus, and the end of Season 1 marks the end of our first Mythic Plus season in Dragonflight, and with it there will be a handful of rewards going away as well. This is your last chance to earn your Season 1 Keystone Master achievement for earning a rating of at least 2000 in Mythic Plus, earning you the Hailstorm Armor Reading mount. The Season 1 Keystone Master achievement and its associated mount will both no longer be obtainable with the end of Season 1, and the Mythic Plus dungeons we have seen in Season 1 will be filtered out and replaced with 8 new dungeons, broken down into the 4 final Dragonflight dungeons we've yet to see in Mythic Plus, and 4 from older expansions. If you're still looking at getting your Keystone Master achievement in Dragonflight Season 1, you will need to be looking at completing all of the dungeons on a plus 14 or 15 or so, but this can vary very much depending on whether you've maybe done a key much higher in a different dungeon and a lower key in a different dungeon, but on average 14s and 15s should definitely get you over the edge to get your 2000 rating. Similarly to the Season 1 Keystone Master achievement, this is also your last chance to earn your Season 1 Keystone Hero achievement for reaching a Mythic Plus rating of at least 2500 on one character. The Keystone Hero achievement doesn't have a mount tied to it or really any cosmetic reward apart from the Gleaming Incarnate Thunderstone which can be unlocked, which essentially gives you a new version of the Vault of Incarnate's raid tier set with more thundering animations around the armor. Even so, it's still a nice goal that players like to work towards, and if you yourself are looking to get the Keystone Hero achievement in Season 1, you need to be looking at completing dungeons on a plus 18, 19 or 20 across the board to get your 2500 rating. And for those most ambitious, high-end Mythic Plus players, this is your last chance to earn your Thundering Hero title for completing Season 1 of Dragonflight Mythic Plus in the top 0.1% of players in your region. Once the season ends the evening before the first reset of Season 2, those players will be counted based on their Raider IO score, and the achievement and its associated title will be given out the following week. The last Mythic Plus reward that will be going away with the end of Season 1 are the current season's Mythic Plus dungeon teleports, which will be unlocked anytime you successfully time a plus 20 key or higher in the corresponding dungeons. This can be very handy to have later down the line if you're a player that likes to farm certain instances for cosmetics like mounts, pets, toys and transmog and so on, and I would argue that Dragonflight Season 1 dungeon teleports are more accessible to more players because compared to the previous season, which was Shadowlands Season 4, where we had 2 mega dungeons split into 2 halves. You had to time a +20 key in both wings of both mega dungeons to get their teleports, whereas the dungeons we see in the current Mythic Plus pool in Season 1 of Dragonflight, it's simply a case of 1 teleport per dungeon. The end of Dragonflight Season 1 also draws to a close the current PvP season and its associated rewards, meaning players have a limited time to complete their rated PvP goals. The first PvP associated reward that will no longer be obtainable with the end of Season 1 is the Crimson Gladiator's Drake, but since we're in Dragonflight and players while they're in the Dragon Isles most likely will be flying on a dragon riding mount, you can also unlock the embodiment of the Crimson Gladiator Drake customization manuscript for your Highland Drake to make it look exactly the same as your Crimson Gladiator's Drake, just meaning that it functions as a dragon riding mount, therefore able to be used on the Dragon Isles. And these gladiator related rewards come from winning 50 rated PvP matches at a rating of at least 2,400. The other mount that will be going away with the end of Season 1 is the Vicious Sabertooth mount, which is the current season's Vicious mount, which players can work towards earning by filling the progress bar in their PvP interface by earning points in rated PvP. And as usual, this Vicious mount comes in 2 colour variants depending on whether you are riding it on a Horde or Alliance character. This is also your last chance to earn the Crimson Gladiator title for those top-rated PvPers who end in the 0.1% of the PvP ladder in their region for 3v3 PvP, as long as they have won at least 150 matches during the season. Similarly, the Crimson Legend title will be given out to the top 0.1% of solo shuffle players in their region, as long as they have won at least 50 matches in the season. And finally, the Legend title will be awarded to any players who have won 100 solo shuffle matches in Season 1 of Dragonflight at a rating of at least 2,400. Next up, the Gleaming Incarnate Thunderstone item will no longer be available once Season 2 begins, as it's related to various achievements and feats of strength related to Season 1. You can unlock the Gleaming Incarnate Thunderstone by achieving any of the following feats of strength in Dragonflight Season 1. Defeating Mythic Razageth in the Vault of the Incarnates, reaching a Mythic Plus score of at least 2,500 earning you the Keystone Hero achievement, or reaching the elite rank in rated PvP. As I mentioned earlier, the Gleaming Incarnate Thunderstone item essentially unlocks a new variant of your class's current tier set, but with additional thundering animations. The last thing I wanted to touch on that isn't going away with the end of Season 1, but will definitely become more difficult to grind once we enter Season 2, is the Forbidden Reach. Although the Forbidden Reach has only been the endgame zone for patch 10.0.7 and the patch itself has been very short, there are still a bunch of cosmetics out there that can be farmed. If you're a collector like me, I would recommend you try to complete as much of your Forbidden Reach collecting as possible before Season 2 begins. The main reason for this is that once Season 2 begins, we're going to be introduced to a whole new endgame zone that most players are going to ship themselves off to do the new content over there, leaving very few players on the Forbidden Reach. And even by the end of Season 2, our item level won't outscale the Forbidden Reach, so trying to do the Forbidden Reach solo, such as defeating rares or the mini-bosses that spawn during the Evolved Storms for example, is going to be very difficult. So if you're still looking for various rewards such as the Ancient Salamantha that drops from any of the rares on the Reach, or maybe the Noble Bruffalon that you can buy for 100,000 Elemental Overflow, or even maybe the Gooey Snail Elemental mount from the Evolved Storms, now is the time to farm these rewards because later in Season 2, these rares are still going to be uncomfortable to solo. There's even an entire zone meta achievement called You Know How to Reach Me, related to the Forbidden Reach, and a lot of the achievements involved in that meta require defeating various rares and special encounters on the Reach that you will struggle to do on your own. You don't need to hurry to finish your zone meta achievement before Season 1 ends if you don't want to, in that the achievement itself isn't going to go away, so you can still make a good amount of progress on it now and come back to it later in a few patches or expansions if you wanted to, but my advice is to at least try and tick off as many of the rares, special encounters and world bosses as you can, as you may be waiting a long time to be able to come back and comfortably solo them yourself. If you need any extra help figuring out what to do on the Forbidden Reach, or for example what to spend your Elemental Overflow on or how to farm it, or even if you need guidance on the Zone Meta achievement, I've made guides to all of that kind of content which is linked in the description below. So those are all of the major rewards and features that are either going away with the end of Dragonflight Season 1 or are simply going to be more difficult to farm once Season 2 begins. I hope this video helped you figure out what some of your kind of end of season goals are for Dragonflight Season 1, and if I've missed anything that you think is important, please be sure to leave a comment down below, as I'm sure it will help someone. And if you have a question about anything else I have mentioned in this video, be sure again to leave a comment down below and I'll do my very best to help you. If you'd like to see more content like this from me in the future, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I would very much appreciate it. I make brand new WoW content every week. And if you ever want to come and hang out with us live, I stream over on Twitch every weekday from 2 PM GMT. Thank you so much for watching, enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!